You don't even know where your bafana calculator is. Remember when you needed to do all types of calculations because you didn't know whether bafana was going to qualify or not. Remember not even thinking about the World Cup or knowing when your country is going to play the next one. You see, Hugo Bruce has put us in school. He is undeniable. Hugo Bruce has taught us that you don't have to play beautiful football. You don't have to have aboqele. You don't have to, play this intricate type of ball. The games don't have to look great. The only thing that matters is that you win them. And up to this point, Hugo Bruce has won more than half of his games as Bafana coach. In fact, the number goes up to 85%, if I'm not mistaken, of games that is won or lost. We only have 6 losses under Hugo Bruce. There was so much talk about Nigeria. How are you going to get past Nigeria in your group? People were saying that, it's just Lesotho, wait for when you're going to meet Benin. We met Benin. We beat them. Top of the log. Hugo Bruce has done a job that no other coach has done. Just this afternoon, people were happy about the mokwena situation and us possibly having a points deduction. Lo and behold, at the end of the night, even if the points are deducted, we still have a 2-point gap over everybody else. So there's a lot of people that should have been minding their own business. This was not a beautiful game by any stretch of the imagination. This was not a game that looked great. I still have the same complaints that I had from the Lesotho game. That maybe we're being a little bit too intricate for some of these players. We're trying to be a little bit too smart. Today we started with Mfukeng, Foster, Tau, and Morena. Most of that game, I can't tell you what Morena was doing or what his role was. In fact, again, the players started looking better when they started reverting to goals and structures and situations that they're used to. That goal that comes for Foster from Basadine is a goal from, let's take Relay's perspective. Basadine was supporting Relay at times, similar to how Hoto supports Relay, which gives you some other spaces, because when Relay cuts inside and you overlap, there could be spaces that you can take advantage of. Relay is comfortable in playing in that. Foster, take it from his perspective. You realize that was possibly the first ball that was played into him. As in, a player found the byline and put a ball in across. Now I know it was messy and under the keeper and all of that stuff, but it's the first time we saw that. We should be engineering more chances like that for Abo Foster because of how they play. I still believe that he's more of a traditional 9 than he is one of these mobile walls or one of these guys that want to assist. You know, there's a position in South African football that I'd like to call central defensive striker, where the striker's role is to move the defense, be physical with the defense, but it's not to score. And I don't think Foster falls into that category. Last game, we finally allowed mokwena to trap the ball and go at a defender, something that he loves to do and is really good at. So I think at times we're going to have to look at our personnel and say, okay guys, these are the things that you're good at. These are the situations that you're good at. We're going to orientate the game towards that so that we can get the best out of you in these situations. And that is something that Bruce will have to look into. I think Obas and Mbata is an interesting pairing because Obas at Sundowns at times has the luxury of Mokwena, or has the luxury of a Kutsia, or has the luxury of somebody who's more comfortable with coming to fetch the ball. And we didn't have people that could fetch the ball. Umbata, we know him from a Pirates. He likes to hide in build-up. He likes to mark players in build-up. In our own build-up, you'll find him marking other players or hiding from the ball. So what we found today was that we reverted back to how Hugo Bruce normally plays. Just missing Mahopa, but how Hugo Bruce normally plays. If you remember AFCON, Yaya and mokwena used to do the same things. A lot of their passes were going backwards. A lot of the times when you play it to them, they played back in. And then it would either be a long ball over to Mahopa, a long ball over in behind for Abo Pesi, or trying to build through Abo Mudau on the side, which is something that Hugo Bruce's Bafana has done for a while. I think the game was screaming out for a controller. Okay, so I know I stopped the video a lot, and a lot of you are wondering, why are you asking for money? So I wanted to show you. I asked for money because I want to do more of this. Huh? But the truth of the matter is that it took over an hour in order just to render that shot. And it takes even longer when I'm doing my normal content because, guys, here's the unsung hero of the channel. And unfortunately, Shem, but the screen is broken. I have to use a second screen and the performance is not up to it. So I'd really love to upgrade things like that. And when you look over here, this is what the setup looks like. Rehenga di patlo and rehenga di green screen, which is a reality of being a South African content creator. Also, this is what people think is my studio. It's actually my house. So if you still don't know that I'm doing all of this from my home, then I don't know. But that is essentially what I want to do. More of these cool things. But I need you guys to please help me out by donating 50 Rand or more into this account. You know, we're fighting for multi-choice. And for multi-choice, but there is subscription models all over the place. And I'd love to give the biggest quality while also being able to pay my rent and do things like that. That is where your money is going. And I promise to give you only the best content that I can if you do throw something in. So I just wanted to show you guys what I want to do with your money. I want to take this South African football and fulfill my dream of taking it into the future. But thank you guys so much. Remember, this is the bank account that you deposit into. Get back into the video. A conductor, a director, somebody who in the final third can make those key decisions and passes. You know, there's a couple of places. There was a part where Umorena broke free in behind to the right-hand side, and he tried to shoot from an awkward angle and distance instead of playing a ball across to Foster. We don't have people that can do that. And I know Upesi Grootman, but Upesi can't play that position. Upesi wants to go score. And I feel like the chemistry of the front is going to be an issue if we keep playing this way, in that you have Umfukeng who wants to go score. He wants to play a 1-2 and shoot. Upesi wants to play the 1-2 and shoot. Ufoster wants to go out and shoot. Morena wants to cut into the box and shoot. Yes, he's a lot better with the decision making from the wing position, but I don't know what he was playing today. So we're going to need the players that are selfless enough. The reason why Umshishi works is that Umshishi is not necessarily a shooter until he has to be. Most of the time he's looking to lay people off. You know, you look at an Apolis who came in the second half, he's looking for a ball through other than a pass. Upasadin for the goal, he's looking for a ball, a pinpoint cross to Foster rather than a cutback, let's say. And we're just going to have to figure out how to balance those things out. That's why Umahupa looks great in Bafana, because the other guys know that they can eat off of him and he's not necessarily going to go for the things himself. I think our defense was brilliant today. I want to give credit to Usbisi Nongezan. Not our favorites. You know, Dortley is out. Dortley is a far more comfortable player with the ball at his feet, playing the ball out. He gives Williams a little bit more options. You see, Williams wasn't really in these two games like that because, you know, there's nobody we can trust to play the ball with. And even with those deficiencies, those two still, when trouble comes, they deal with it. When they need to make the simple pass, they deal with it. And especially for me, Ungezana has improved tremendously. You know, I was making a joke during the show, the live, my watch along, when I was saying that, you know, Usbisi tried a long ball once or twice in the first half, And I was making the joke that, yeah, you don't do that. Dad does that. And then up he steps to play the most perfect ball through to Upasatin. So I want to give them credit. I want to give credit to some of the substitutions that came on. Abu Adams, you see that he's just a cut above the rest. Yes, it's not like a clear goal that was midfield or whatever. It was a set piece, but Adams just shows you how much he's grown and how much the future looks bright for us. And it's the fact that we can go to a Benin, who people were saying that Benin is going to decimate us and all of that stuff, and play Talentembata and Talentembata and Obas in the midfield, and still have mistakes and still do those things and still win. That is the biggest thing that you have to give to Bafana Bafana. Big teams can afford to do those things. Big teams can afford to make mistakes and still pull out the win. And Bafana Bafana right now is the form team in terms of results getting. I don't know if there's that many other teams in Africa that are getting results at the frequency that Bafana Bafana is getting it. And all the things I complained about and all the things I spoke about now and everything that I mentioned doesn't matter. Guys, we've qualified for an AFCON with no calculators. We're about to qualify for a World Cup with no calculators. A World Cup. Guys, the last time we qualified for a World Cup was 2010. And that was only because we were hosting. We need to give the kudos and the credit to Bruce, to Helman Mkelele, to Grant Johnson, to the analysis staff, Abu Sinesipo. I mentioned him last time, Abu Sinesipo. You need to give credit to all of these guys because what they've done. And more importantly, let's give credit to the boys. On paper, if I gave you this Bafana Bafana and I put it on paper and I put it up against the Tiko Bafana Bafanas and the Dr. Kumalo Bafana Bafanas and all of those things, a lot of the time you would choose those guys. You would choose the different teams. You choose the historical teams. But those guys, well, one of those teams didn't qualify for a World Cup. Those guys didn't go far. Abu Kilam Pelen, it's not to say they're bad players. But this band of unfancied players who are playing for a team, who are playing for a coach that nobody likes, who are coming from a situation where 2 or 3 years ago, there were no expectations on Bafana Bafana. When we went to the AFCON, where we finished third, there were no expectations of Bafana Bafana. In fact, all of us were getting ready for them to come home early. This is the team that is pulling out all the stops. This is the team that is performing. And I think it's about time that we give them the credit that they deserve. Now, to be fair, Benin was not in this game. You might even say Lesotho played a better game than Benin. Benin, I think, only woke up after the first goal went in. That's, of course, you need to go and get the points now. And they started committing forward. But for all of the height, for all of the physicality, for all of the said abilities that everybody was quoting before this game, they didn't show up. So, for me, wonderful champion performance from Bafana Bafana. Leading the group, leading the teams, winning the games. Another 3 points in the bag. This is going to be one of the greatest Bafana Bafana teams that we've seen. This is going to be a team that's going to go down in history one way or another. And Hugo Bruce needs to be given his props. He needs to be given everything. And I know we still have our hang-ups about beautiful football. We still have our hang-ups about certain players and certain teams not having players in the squad. We still have our hang-ups about this Bafana Bafana team. But Hugo Bruce and Bafana Bafana are undeniable right now. You don't even have to know how to explain it. You don't even have to justify it. You don't even have to say anything. It is what it is. Whether you believe it's great or not great, whether you believe that they could still do better, whether you believe any of that stuff, it doesn't matter. they're winning. Well done to Bafana. Extra shout out to our SADC neighbors. Zimbabwe doing the job. Lesotho doing the job. Doing us a favor. Holding Abo Nigeria. Holding Rwanda. Thank you to them too. Because the region doesn't have much shine. And if this is how we go through, this is how we go through. The Nigerians had come out and they were speaking a lot. They were saying that they're going to catch up, they're coming through, they're number 4 right now. Number 1 is that team that nobody expected, that nobody's praising as hard as they should be. Last thing I'll say is, guys, get your passports ready, man. Get your passports ready. It's World Cup time. America. We're going. Not as fans of football, not as people who are going to go watch other teams. Your team is there. Last time I could say this, was what, 15 years ago. That is insane. And before that, Shem, I think it was 2002. Thank you, Bruce. Thank you, Bafana. I'll see you guys on the next one.